Which brings us to our 6-row, 21-player Super Bowl quarterback mountain. Bottom row, please. Jalen Hurts.
What?
And his career 109 passer rating, 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 1-1 record. Brett Favre, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, this close to being a back-to-back Super Bowl champion. Elway and the diving, spinning first down denied him that. Russell Wilson, a 117 career passer rating. He would have been, I have no idea how high, if not for the 1 interception he threw in his Super Bowl career, was a game-losing interception to deny himself a back-to-back. Aaron Rodgers, just 1 Super Bowl win ever, but 3 touchdowns, no picks. Drew Brees, 1 Super Bowl win ever, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And the one person on the mountain, Coach, who did not win a Super Bowl, Jake Delhomme, the greatest performance in a Super Bowl loss, playing an all-time great defense.
Both our safeties got hurt in the 4th quarter.
Okay, Coach.
It was special team.
Coach,
it was some stat padding going on.
It wasn't the stat padding. The Patriots needed a field goal at the gun to win. He threw for 320, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 114 rating. It's a testament to you guys.
Eugene Wilson and
Coach,
Rodney Harrison both got hurt.
From you. Jake Delhomme made
let's just put it into context.
Row 5 are one-timers, but man, oh man, was it amazing their one time. Steve Young, 350 yards, 6 touchdowns, pretty good. Phil Simms, damn near a perfect game, 88% completions, 3 touchdowns, a 151 rating, highest single game rating in Super Bowl history. Nick Foles, KW and I were looking at it today. 3 passing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, a kind of bad merchandise statue outside the stadium notwithstanding.
Still.
Joe Flacco, part of an all-time playoff heater culminating in a 3-touchdown, 124 passer rating Super Bowl. And then Doug Williams, 4 touchdowns, 340 passing yards, 128 rating. They all only played in 1. They only need to play in 1. They were all-time performances. Now to the top 10. Eli. Couple of the greatest throws in Super Bowl history. That throw to Mario Manningham. Obviously, people remember the helmet catch one, but the Manningham throw was the really unbelievable one. 2-0, beating the greatest player of all time in both of them, including denying an undefeated season. Jim Plunkett, who played in 2 Super Bowls, won them both, had 4 touchdowns, had no picks, had a 123 rating, and is kind of just forgotten in NFL history, to be totally honest.
Not a great career out.
Right, but those Super Bowls pretty damn great. Troy Aikman, 5 touchdowns in his 3 Super Bowl games, 1 interception, undefeated, and Kurt Warner, who really is a couple bounces away from potentially having 3 rings. And in those, he played in 3 Super Bowls and averaged 385 passing yards across 3 Super Bowls. Threw a 70-yard touchdown to take the lead with 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl against Arizona. Obviously, was right there with you guys.
He had a pick 6, and in that.
Well, you know what?
And he's 1 and 2,
then
right?
Then 7 touchdowns if you include the pick 6.
Yeah, pick 6.
And yes, 1 and 2. 1 win, 2 losses. I was just saying, was a couple bounces away from potentially being 3-0. Row 3. Terry Bradshaw. First 2 Super Bowls, he didn't have to do much. He was obviously did much throughout the year. Didn't have to do much in this Super Bowl. Last 2 Super Bowls, they needed to score points. They scored some points. He's 4-0 in Super Bowls. Bart Starr, 2-0 in his 2 Super Bowls, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. And Roger Staubach went to 4, won 2 of them, 8 touchdowns in those 4 Super Bowls. And now the top 3. Joe Montana, a perfect 11 touchdowns, 0 picks in Super Bowl games. And Patrick Mahomes, who is 2nd most all-time in Super Bowl history in touchdowns, yards, and Super Bowl MVPs. And then, of course, atop the mountain, Tom Brady. He's been to 10. He won 7. He's most all-time in literally everything, except for sneakily, not most all-time in interceptions. Elway has that distinction. So
this is so funny. I mean, this is so funny for so many different reasons. You guys know I'm going to zero in on Jalen Hurts, Nick Foss, and Patrick Mahomes. It's so funny when we look at Patrick Mahomes' stats in Super Bowls. when we know 2 of his touchdowns were in garbage time against the Philadelphia Eagles. His passer rating was in the 70s. Prior to that, he would literally have 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a near 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Like, you want to be like, well, he's got some of the best yards and this and that. It's like, okay, his passer rating in the low 80s was also boosted because of, he ended up having a passer rating of 95.4 in that Super Bowl against the Eagles. Like, yeah, okay, sure. Just so we're clear, Jalen Hurts has a higher completion percentage, better touchdown to interception ratio, higher passer rating, higher yards per attempt, near identical passing yards per game, except Jalen Hurts has number 1 and number 2 rushing yards and averages over 300 total yards. Cards per game. So Jalen Hurts by essentially higher completion percentage as well. So by essentially literally every single metric, every single traditional metric and alternative metric, like I guess rushing yards for quarterbacks, because we never want to count that for Jalen Hurts for some weird reason. Jalen Hurts is actually better than Patrick Williams and everything. I don't know what to tell you. This is not my mountain. Like, this is what we're going by. We're going to have Jalen Hurts at the bottom when Jalen Hurts, and this is where I'm going to now enter Nick Foss. Jalen Hurts and Nick Foss had 2 of the highest statistical performances in Super Bowl history. I mean, you want to talk about the best game in a Super Bowl loss? No, that was either Jalen Hurts in 22, which was literally record-breaking, or Tom Brady against Nick Foss. But I mean, this is pretty insane, pretty insulting. Nick Foss in that Super Bowl had a 92.3 offensive rating. 2018 Tom Brady 58.2. 2019 Patrick Mahomes 63.7. 2020, since we also have to factor in the losses too, Patrick Mahomes 65.8, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 53.1% completion percentage. Oh yikes. What was his passer rating? 52.3. Ikumba. Matthew Stafford, 78.7. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's not even on that list. Jalen Hurts, 92.2. Remember what I said about the 2 highest rated Jalen Hurts and Nick Foss? And this was actually a game where Patrick Mahomes, this was his highest rated Super Bowl, 89.5. But he only threw for 182 yards and only had 27 attempts. According to the bylaws of First Things First, games do not count if you don't throw the ball 30 times and you throw for under 200 yards. That's what Manini says. That's what Nick Wright says. That's where Bruce says, I don't create the rules. I'm not the one that set up the rules. He also threw a wide open receivers all game. Don't believe me? He also only had 1 big time throw. Jalen Hurts had 5. Jalen Hurts clearly outplayed Patrick Mahomes, but you know, what are you going to do? 2023 Patrick Mahomes 75.2. Jalen Hurts 86.7. And yet another record-breaking Super Bowl performance, Patrick Mahomes, yikes, 47. So it's pretty laughable, honestly. Listen, I'm not going to start to argue about the Troy Amons of the world, the Montana of the world, the Bradshaws, like, what are we going to do? And it's a, remember that this is just Super Bowls, so this isn't like players, because you're like, well, Hurts is on the level of, Rodgers and Drew Brees, and it's like, like this is just Super Bowl. To pretend that Jalen Hurts has been top 3 all-time in Super Bowl performances is just objectively a false statement. It is just so incorrect. And to try to pretend that Jalen Hurts is at the bottom, that it's just Jalen Hurts is 2 for 2. Yes, Patrick Mahomes has played in more Super Bowls without a doubt, but we know it's not just volume and Super Bowl wins. We know that because Mahomes wouldn't be at the level that he's at right now, and he would be at the same level of a man or Brad Shaw would be ahead of him, etc., etc., etc. So we know it's not just based off that, because then where's Peyton Manning? The fact that Stafford's not even on here, but yet we have a quarterback who hasn't even won a Super Bowl, etc. So we know it's not just that, but Patrick Mahomes was not great in his first Super Bowl win. He was awful in 2020. Not saying I'm blaming him, but he was not good. Regardless of who you want to blame, it was not a great performance in 2022. He played good. He had a good game. Wasn't earth-shattering, wasn't insane. Watch the game and see the throws that were made. I already went through it. I made an hour-long video highlighting it. Boy, were there a lot of wide-opening receivers out there, but it's fine. He played good. He had a good game. Don't tell me it was an unbelievable game when he only threw for 180 yards and then bash a Jalen Hurts game or another quarterback's game that you don't like when they have a game like that. So you got to be consistent. And then in 2023, he played okay. He had an okay game. It wasn't great, wasn't spectacular. It just wasn't, yeah, they won. But like they scored 19 points in regulation. Like it was an okay game. He also turned the ball over, etc. And then in 2024, he got destroyed. He had one of the worst Super Bowl performances of all time and one of the worst games of all time. I mean, just look at the article. Mahomes found some success in the second half when the game was out of reach. Mahomes had 17 passing yards. Mahomes' 17 passing yards were his fewest in a first quarter this season. He was averaging 57 entering the game. The Chiefs had 14 yards on their first 5 drives. The fewest yards they've had on their first 5 drives of any game started by Mahomes, playoffs or regular seasons. Mahomes threw his first postseason pick 6. Mahomes became the first quarterback in Super Bowl history to take consecutive sacks before throwing a pick 6 in a span of 3 plays. For the first time in his career, Mahomes threw 2 interceptions in the first half of a playoff game. Mahomes' 43% completion percentage in the first half was the second lowest rate in a first half in his career, better than only his 42% completion percentage versus the Chargers in Week 2 of 2020. Mahomes finished the first half with 33 passing yards, the fewest he's had in the first half of any game in his career. Mahomes was 1 for 6 with 2 interceptions on passes of more than 5 air yards. He was 14 of 22 with a touchdown on those throws of his career, and postseason, prior to Sunday, he became the second quarterback in Super Bowl history. This is probably gonna be a good stat, right? Oh no. To throw an interception on consecutive pass attempts. The Chiefs didn't cross midfield until their 10th drive, snapping a 9-drive streak, the longest by any team in Super Bowl history. That those are a lot of records that this guy had in this Super Bowl. Mahomes was sacked 6 times, the most he has taken in any game of his career, regular season or playoffs. Mahomes is the second quarterback in Super Bowl history. Oh, this is probably going to be good to take 6 sacks against 4 or fewer pass rushers. Oh my yikes. Mahomes had 42 dropbacks without being blitzed, second most in Super Bowl history. Mahomes was 3-for-8 for 43 yards with a touchdown and interception while under pressure. And one of those touchdowns was when the game was completely out and the backups were in. You gotta count the bad games too. I'm just saying he was historically terrible in 2 Super Bowls. And he went actually Patrick Mahomes is actually second highest in touchdowns and passing yards and blah 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 blah. What are we inventing here? Seriously, what are we inventing here? Patrick Mahomes has been in 5 Super Bowls. We're just talking about Super Bowls. We're not talking about... It's amazing that he got to these. It's not the conversation. This is strictly how do you perform in said Super Bowls. He has played good, maybe great in 2 Super Bowls. Good to great in 2 Super Bowls. That's it. That's it. Jalen Hurts has been great/elite, literally record-breaking in 2 Super Bowls. I'm just pointing out the obvious. So, yeah, putting even Nick Foss down where he's at is pretty crazy. He took down Tom Brady. I mean, think about this. Nick Foss took down the greatest Super Bowl quarterback ever. And Jalen Hurts outplayed apparently top 3 greatest Super Bowl quarterback of all time. And Nick's GOAT Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes not once but twice. How does this make sense? How does this make sense? I'd love to know. I'm also pretty sure Jalen Hurts scored the most points in a Super Bowl loss in Super Bowl history. So again, we're now even going to rob him of that as well. That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Nick's greatest Super Bowl quarterbacks ever? Whatever this thing is. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to Give this video a thumbs up as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.